Who does not love a good stir fry? And I have an absolute little gem for you today. It is an orange and 5-spice sticky stir fry chicken. It is absolutely gorgeous to make and it's really quick to prepare as well. So to start it off, I have some chicken thighs that are boned and skinned and basically chopped into nice little bite-sized pieces. I'm using chicken thigh because I actually think the meat has a much better flavor than if you use chicken breast. By all means, if you have chicken breast, use it here. To our chicken thighs, we're going in there with a little pinch, or I would say about a teaspoon of 5-spice powder. And this has all sorts of wonderful flavors, star anise and really vibrant aromatics in there as well. So, little teaspoon of the 5-spice powder. Now we need to talk even more aromatic flavors. So I have some ginger, I have some garlic, and I have some chili. And in my mind, these are the holy trinity of Asian cookery. So with the ginger, I'm just gonna use a little microplane grater and get a nice fine slice on these. So I've got a nice hefty bit of ginger going in there. We've got a good amount. Just make sure you scrape off and get all of that extra bits in there as well. And now we're gonna do exactly the same with some garlic. I do believe that anytime you add garlic, ginger and chili to a good recipe like this, you are in business. It's just an instant hit and a flare of flavor. So just with your chili, you want a nice fine slice on it. So this is a fairly spicy chili and I do want the good kick of spice in here, so I'm not afraid of using the whole chili in here with the seeds. So give them a nice fine chop. Right, chili, ginger, garlic, we've got it all going on. This all goes straight in with our chicken thighs and make sure you scrape up every last bit so nothing gets wasted. And to this, just for some extra flavor, I'm going in there with some sesame oil. It gives you that lovely nutty taste, about a teaspoon's amount here. Grab up a spoon and then just give this all a good toss through. You could stick this in the fridge and allow it to marinate if you have the time, but to be perfectly honest, you can get it straight in the pan and get it cooking. So that's exactly what we're gonna do, but before I do that, we need to make up our sauce. And this is the sauce that's gonna coat through the chicken and our veggies in this dish. For our sauce, we're gonna start off with an orange. So, juice of half an orange going straight into the bowl. And there's really great sweet sticky flavor that you get from orange juice adding it into a sauce like this. Okay, we've got all the juice going on. I'll suck on that one later. And now we need to go in there with some more flavor. We've got 3 tablespoons of honey. So 1, 2, and 3. We've got 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce. Get that straight in there. So that's 1 and 2. And then we've got 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. So 1 tablespoon. That's about that. To give it even more kind of sticky, sweet flavor to echo what's going on in the orange, I have some dark brown sugar and I'm just going in with a heaped teaspoon of that in there as well. Give it all a good mix up. I was nearly going to mix it with my spoon. Give it all a good mix up and just give it a little smell. I mean, the smell of that, you've got the contrast between the acidity of the rice vinegar, you get the sweetness of the honey, you've got the little bit of brown sugar, and then that salty element from the soy sauce. This is your sauce, this is good to go, and now we need to get frying. Once that wok is hot and smoking, get some sunflower oil in there. Any neutral flavored oil will do here, vegetable oil as well. You want to be a little bit generous with the oil because you want to fry off your chicken and get really good color. You can see it is smoking hot. Do not be afraid of your wok being this hot. You need to get it to this temperature in order to get really nice color on your chicken. Chicken now goes in. And that's the sizzle we're after. It is sizzling time and it smells incredible. One thing I notice when people are cooking at home in a wok is that they tend to stir the chicken around or the meat around too quickly. And what happens is when the chicken goes in there, the temperature drops and you don't get that really nice stir fry and that golden color. So stick with it. Don't be tempted to move it. Leave it in the one position and then get in there and stir it around. Chicken's had a really nice bit of cooking time and it's colored up beautifully. So get it straight transferred out onto a plate. And we're gonna get the wok straight back on the heat. Add a tiny touch more oil, only just a little drizzle. And while it's still hot like this, we're going straight in there with all our wonderful veggies, our red onion, our carrot, our sugar snap peas, and our lovely broccoli. Okay. Get them stir fried and you want them to be just a little bit tender before we're gonna add the chicken back in and get our sauce going on. Okay, veggies are looking nice and tender. Straight back in there with our chicken. That goes in. Give it a good toss through. Make sure they're nice and evenly coated in with all those great veggies. And now, to bring this all together and to really talk about the flavor injection, we've got this big, beautiful bowl of our orange sauce. So get that straight in there. And you want to bring this to a nice cooking temperature that starts to bubble down that sauce. You've got a little bit of sugar in there, which will help kind of caramelize the sauce, but you're looking for a nice thickness to the sauce, and then it's ready to serve. We are in business. My sauce has come together really nicely. I'm gonna stick off that heat and we're gonna serve this beautiful stir fry up with some boiled rice. So I just have some basmati rice here. Just serve this straight into your bowl. And alongside it, we have a really nice, generous portion of this wonderful 5-spice sticky orange chicken stir fry. It is absolutely divine. It's super quick to make. And the other great thing about this is it's actually quite healthy as well. So last thing to finish it off with is just some chopped peanuts over the top. This is now ready to serve. It smells so good, so I'm gonna have to dive straight in and try some. Get a little bit of that chicken up and the rice. Oh. That is what it is all about. You've got that stickiness wrapping around the chicken and the veggies. You've got that 5-spice powder, which is lovely and aromatic. This is a simple stir fry that anyone can make. And if you want the recipe, you can check it out in the box below over on my website. Make sure to like and share this video. Leave us a comment letting me know if you're gonna try this. Of course, follow me on all my social media. And until then, my friends, I will see you soon. Enjoy. We are next leveling the one-pot pasta method with this Nduja one-pot pasta that has sun-blushed tomatoes, mozzarella, and just wonderful flavor going on. It is a little bit different to your traditional one-pot pasta where everything goes in the pot first. We are instead going to soften down and saute off some shallots, a little bit of garlic, and the all-important ingredient, which is some Nduja sausage, which is this fantastic Italian spicy sausage that is well worth seeking out, especially for this recipe. So, into our pot, we're gonna get in with a touch of oil. Straight in there with some finely chopped shallot. Now I'm using shallot here, but you could just as well use a normal onion. You could use spring onions, but why I'm using the shallot is because I really like the sweetness that works quite well with the Nduja sausage. We're gonna soften this down with a little pinch of salt, which will help dry any moisture in those onions and give you a lovely sweet finish. And you're gonna soften them down just for a few minutes. So the next step is to add a little bit of Nduja sausage. When you slice into it, it's more kind of like a spreadable chorizo. That's how I would describe it. But it's an Italian salumi, basically, that's spreadable. And you can have it on pizza, you could have it on crusty bread. So I'm just gonna press this straight into our pot. And we're gonna break it up with a wooden spoon. About half this sausage is all we're gonna need. And for all the Italians who are probably getting upset by this method already, I will note that this is not an Italian recipe, this is a one-pot pasta. So back away from the comment section, I can feel your little fingers going for it. Sorry, I've been burnt by the Italians in the past. So we've got our beautiful Nduja coming up to temperature, and as you start to kind of apply heat to it, it'll start to break up. So just take your time with the wooden spoon and make sure that it kind of goes to a nice, pulpy, gorgeous, fatty mess. That's exactly what we're after here. I'm gonna add in a touch of garlic, some finely chopped garlic. Goes in. Give that a stir through, and you just want the garlic to become nice and aromatic before we add in our pasta. So we've got some rigatoni here. You can use any short pasta shape you like. Penne would work here if you don't have rigatoni. I'm gonna give that a stir through just to get it coated in all those lovely flavors. Our next ingredient in is a little touch of passata. So about half a jar of passata goes in here. And to this, another little kind of secret one-pot pasta ingredient is some sun-blushed tomatoes. These are slightly different to a sun-dried tomato, which is much more of an intense flavor. These are somewhere between an oven-roasted tomato and a sun-dried tomato, and they are a powerhouse of flavor. So I'm gonna add about half of these sun-blushed tomatoes in here. And then it's just a case of giving that a good stir up. So at this point now, we have all our ingredients for our one-pot pasta in the pot ready to rock. We need to add a little water to cook this out. So I have about 1.5 litres of water going straight in here. And as soon as you add it, it calms things down a little bit. And this is where you can kind of tick away in the kitchen. This is where you're gonna bring this slowly up to a nice steady simmer, and you just keep an eye on it. Just stir it every now and again, just so that the pasta doesn't catch on the bottom. And you can kind of
potter away in the kitchen as you do other things, as you make a little bit of garlic bread, you pour yourself a glass of wine. It's up to you. But essentially, it's going to take you about 10 minutes, just to the point where that pasta is nice and al dente. And when we get there, my little last touch is some mozzarella cheese, but we'll talk about it once this is nicely cooked through. So bring it up to a nice simmer and let's get cooking. It takes about 10 minutes or so and you get a lovely pasta facial as you go, but you should be left with beautifully tender pieces of pasta and a gorgeous rich tomato sauce. So at this point, this is pretty much good to go. I'm not going to stir it through anymore, but I am going to tear in a beautiful ball of mozzarella straight in here and let it melt through so that it becomes really nice and stringy. The little bit of creaminess, you'll see that kind of like the liquid that comes out of the mozzarella, that will also help to give you a lovely creamy finish to this tomato sauce. So pop that in there and just stir it through. Oh yes, this is where we want to be. This looks fantastic. So I'm going to serve this up straight into a bowl. You want generous portions of this. It is like the most gorgeous weeknight pasta you're ever going to come across, and you can see just how easy it is. It's a handful of ingredients, takes you about 10-12 minutes just until the pasta is cooked out, and you just get left with the most gorgeous pasta sauce and perfectly cooked pasta. And I'm sure there's people out there who will never want to do this in a one-pot method, and you can just as easily do this exact same method, boil your pasta separately and then toss it through that gorgeous Nduja sauce. So I'm going to garnish it with 1 or 2 more of those sun-blushed tomatoes. Nice little pop of fresh flavor in there. Now I think you could serve it just as it is, but a nice little bit of basil just adds a little fresh touch over the top, and it's that sort of gorgeous aniseed flavor that as you dive into here, you just get great things going on. And that's exactly where we want to be for dinner time. So grab up a fork, get in there, and give it a go. The fact that this has all happened in one pot and you have this rip-roaring flavor assault on your tongue going on is such a fantastic thing. You get this rich tomato sauce that kind of builds with the heat that you get from the Nduja. You get that mozzarella, which has added that sort of stringy, cheesy, creamy thing going on there. And the pasta is just beautifully al dente, all cooked in the one pot. This is a method you should totally give a go to. If you're Italian, you can step away. You don't have to make this. You can make it the favorite way that your grandma taught you to. But for the rest of us, this is a fantastic one-pot pasta and you should totally give it a go. I will leave the recipe in the box below and you can check it out over on my website. Make sure you hit subscribe for delicious recipes just like this one. And of course, make sure you check out our full weeknight pasta playlist, which is right here on this channel. Until then, my friends, I'm tucking into this and I'll see you soon. Bye. If you've ever tried chicken biryani, I have a version that is going to change your life. It's a long process normally, but this version gives you all that wonderful spice, all that gorgeous baked rice, all done in one pot in 30 minutes. This is my 30-minute meal, one-pot chicken biryani that is going to blow you away. We're going to start off by frying up some chicken and browning it in a pan. So a little bit of oil goes in here. Any flavorless oil will do. Now I've got some chicken thigh meat in here and I'm just looking to brown these out until they have a really lovely golden color on the outside. Now while they are frying off and getting nice and golden brown, I'm going to chop up my onions, and there really isn't too many ingredients here. It's all about simplified biryani. I have some onions to chop up, some ginger to grate, but the rest is sort of store-bought ingredients. Basmati rice, some spices. You're probably going to have the majority of the ingredients to hand. Right, I've got my onions chopped and I'm just going to check on my chicken to see how we're doing. It should be nice and golden brown at this point. Yeah, it's getting there. Now that this is turned over, I can get back to work. I have some ginger to grate up alongside my onions. So take up a little grater like this. Just run this down until you have a nice fine pulp. Okay, so tap that off. And now it's time to get these chicken pieces out because they smell wonderful, and I'm just making sure they have a nice color, and they do. So that is our chicken nicely browned off. Into this heat and into this pan, I'm just gonna add a touch more oil just to bring it together. There's great flavor you get from browning off the chicken like this. And to the pan, I'm just going in there with our ginger and our onion. Straight into the pan and get it involved with all those great little chicken pieces on the bottom of the pan. Use your wooden spoon and just scrape them into the onions. Get them involved, make them friends, get them invited to the party that's going on in this pan.
as soon as those onions start to soften down and that ginger becomes really kind of aromatic, it's time to get in there with our spices. So for our spices, I have a touch of turmeric, about a teaspoon going in here. I also have about half a teaspoon of ground cardamom. And then I'm going in there with even more aromatics from a little cinnamon stick, you can use ground cinnamon if you want, and a bay leaf. And these go straight in here and they just get stirred through, coating those onions. So as soon as they start to kind of erupt with fragrance in the kitchen, it's time to go in there with our rice. So this is basmati rice, and I have just rinsed it until the starchy water disappears, and you keep washing it just until that goes. This gets added to the pan here. And I like to fry it just a little bit, just to get coated in all those spices. And then it's just a case of popping these chicken thighs straight back into the pot. I did tell you this is a quick version of biryani. Normally you have to layer up the ingredients and it can be a little bit more complicated in terms of spices, but this version gives you all those great flavors and still manages to happen in a very quick time. And the last little ingredient just to bring it all together is some chicken stock. Now, not only is this chicken stock going to add great flavor, but it's going to help to cook the rice. And in theory, the rice will plump up to the stage that all the chicken stock has been reduced out and absorbed into that rice. And just as an extra little touch to jewel up our biryani, I'm going to add in some sultanas, and that little hit of sweet fruitiness in amongst that rice will make all the difference. Now, lid goes on. This is going to cook down for 15 minutes just until that rice is plumped up and the chicken is cooked through. Brilliant. There's only a few little things you need to serve up with this chicken biryani. I have some coriander, I have some flaked almonds, and I have a little bit of lemon as well. So I'm just going to cut up some wedges. Now, this should be beautifully cooked. Look at that. The rice is just plumped up. You can see that it's absorbed all that fantastic liquid that has just given it a really nice plump finish. So I'm going to serve some of this up. A little portion of that rice alongside the chicken, and just look at that color the turmeric has given it. It's so wonderful and so simple. Last little touches to this are a little bit of coriander over the top, some of those lovely flaked almonds just to finish it off and give it a bit of crunch. You've got that contrast of the plump sultanas in there with that crunch of almond, and then a good squeeze of some lemon just to freshen it up. And a little wedge on the side, sure, why not? And now, all that's left to do is tuck into some of this beauty. It's really fragrant, and it's the use of those spices that just make it into something that's kind of simple and flavorful in a really short amount of time. This is well worth giving a go. It is not your traditional biryani, but it is one that will satisfy your taste for India in a very short amount of time. If you want the recipe for this very quick cooking, easy chicken biryani, you will get it in the box below over on my website. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, leave me a comment, and I'll see you soon. Happy cooking, my friends. Goodbye. Hi guys, I know that you love one-pan dishes, and I have the perfect one for you today. It is a one-pan Singapore noodle dish. It is very simple to make. It also comes from my new book, Eat, Live, Go. So we're gonna crack it off with a hot wok. We've got some sunflower oil going in here. We're gonna fry off some ginger, chili, and garlic. It's my holy trinity of Asian ingredients. The wok really needs to be hot when you fry these ingredients off, because you wanna get all that beautiful aromatic flavor going on in there. I'm getting a bit of that chili up the back of my nose, but that's fine. That means there's good flavor in there. The brilliance of this recipe is just how quick it comes together. Once you've got that nice aromatic flavor and that fry going on, we're gonna get in there with some red peppers. I've just finely sliced these red peppers. We're also going in there with some green beans, topped and tailed. Give them a good stir fry, and you're looking to soften down those veggies and to get a little bit of color on them, but not too much. These are softening down nicely. Stick in some spring onions. I'm gonna save some back just for a little bit of garnish later on. and you can see these are really vibrant veggies in there. This makes a wonderful dish, and it's really quick to make. My veggies are nicely softening down, so it's time for some frozen peas. A lot of the ingredients that are in this recipe you are bound to have in your kitchen, in your freezer, in your store cupboard. They're all easy things to pull together. So get those peas in there. We can now add in our flavor makers. So we've got some sesame oil, we've got some Chinese rice wine, and some soy sauce. So 3 tablespoons of soy sauce going in here. I know it sounds like a lot, but it gives this wonderful salty flavor. We've got 1 tablespoon of Chinese rice wine. That should be enough. We've also got a teaspoon of sesame oil. This stuff is strong, so you don't need too much. Give that all a good stir, and you start to get this wonderful aromatic flavor going on in there. So we've got our key and core ingredients. Next thing is to add in some rice noodles. Now this is a 1-pan Singapore noodles, so we're going to stick them right in here and cook them alongside the vegetables. So just break that up. I know people say don't break up the noodles, but I'm telling you, this is the only way to make this dish work. So another little bit of noodle action going on in there. And now we're going to top this all up with some chicken stock. Straight over the top. And now we're going to whack up the heat, get this bubbling away and simmering until those rice noodles are nicely cooked through. Press those noodles right down into that hot liquid. And our last little bit of flavor is from some caster sugar, which will help bring together this sauce. And I've also got the key ingredient to 1-pan Singapore noodles, or Singapore noodles in general, a heaped tablespoon of curry powder. We have a bubbling pan of liquid, and so all you've got to do now is just stir this around and make sure those rice noodles are nicely cooked through. And what will happen is all the liquid you've added in here with that little bit of sugar in there will start simmering down, and you'll be left with this beautiful coating to your noodles with all those great veggies. Now, the trick here is to keep moving this mixture. You want to make sure that your noodles cook all the way through. And we're actually in business now. You'll notice that the liquid has been soaked up. Your noodles have taken on all that great flavor. So I'm going to whack off the heat. And now it's time to serve this up. I've got a nice big bowl. Well, actually, it's quite a small bowl. But either way, I've got a bowl that's ready for our noodles. And the beauty of this is just in a matter of moments, you have serious flavor and a great little dinner dish. You can basically use whatever ingredients you have in the kitchen to adapt this super simple little recipe, and you can see those noodles are beautifully cooked through. We're going to finish it off with a little bit of coriander over the top, and you have a simple dinner dish made in a matter of minutes. That's just how good the recipes are in my book. So there you go. You have to go and check it out. It's in the box below. Right, let's taste this. Okay, I've got some chopsticks. I'm going to get up some of this lovely noodle action, get some of our veggies in there. I'm sorry, you can say whatever you like about these 1-pan methods, but that works extremely well. You get all the flavor, it coats the noodles with that brilliant sauce. You've the soy sauce, you've got the sesame oil, and all that curry powder just makes this dish come alive. You will not believe that you've made something so tasty and delicious in 1 pan. If you want the recipe, you can check it out in my book, Eat, Live, Go. Of course, we'll have it over on the website as well. Please subscribe to this channel for lots more delicious recipes just like this one. And of course, comment beneath letting me know if you're gonna try my 1-pan Singapore noodles. Until then, folks, I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Hi guys, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we are going to do something a little bit different. This isn't necessarily a recipe and more of a technique. As you can tell, I have a little monster who's trying to move me out of the kitchen. Are you going to go down to Mama? Will you go down to Mama? She's go down over there. Oh, go get her. Okay, bye, bye, bye. So what I want to show you today is how to pan fry chicken and get a really great sauce. But essentially what I want to prove to you is that in most store cupboards, there is the bones of a really gorgeous sauce for any pan fried meat. So the ingredients I'm going to need now, I haven't even looked to see if I have everything, but I'm going to need some mustard, which I do have. Some honey is there, and what else? Could add some there's some capers here, and they're kind of like the forgotten ingredient in most kitchen store cupboards. You only need like a teaspoon or so and it'll add a salty bite. I have this really great hot sauce, this Hollywood hot sauce. A friend of mine actually makes this. So we're gonna use a dash of that. I have a normal honey and I have a spicy honey, but I think I'm gonna go with the spicy honey. I'm kind of bringing this in a white wine direction because I have like literally the dregs of white wine that are gonna go into this sauce. So essentially what I have here is like the bones of what is a gorgeous honey and mustard sauce with white wine. It's a very simple method, but it's one that I use quite often. I'm just seeing if there's anything else that I could add in here. I did spot these And I was gonna add some roasted red peppers. You could chop them up, but I kind of feel in the white wine vein, I want to keep it a little bit more simple. You could do a sort of like Argentinian sort of chimichurri style thing if you wanted peppers and parsley and white wine. That could be a nice variant, but I think we're gonna keep it simple. So these are probably the key ingredients I need. I have some garlic cloves here. If I had some shallot, that would be quite nice here as well. Let me see if I have anything in the bottom of the fridge. I like the idea. Oh, I have some parsley as well. I'm gonna add some parsley. Oh, actually, I see a tiny bit of bacon that is left over. So I'm gonna add bacon, we're gonna add some parsley, and we have all our store cupboard ingredients. So as you can see, this is just like assembling what you have in the kitchen and forming a really simple recipe. And at the core of it, you're learning how to make a great pan sauce for any fried chicken. So I have my chopping board, I have a frying pan, and the first job to get things on, because this is a quick cooking recipe, is to get your pan on nice and hot. And we're gonna season up the chicken. I have chicken thighs, as I mentioned before. You could use chicken breasts, but always when you're doing this, you wanna season it quite generously with salt and pepper. And we're gonna get this straight into the pan. Right, into the pan with a drop of oil. Grab up your tongs and then just get them straight in. You want the pan to be super nice and hot, and that's the sizzle you're after. Okay, so while they're cooking off, let's crack on with the ingredients we're gonna need. So there's very little prep here that we're gonna need to do. I just wanna slice up our bacon. So while the chicken is cooking off, I think that nice little sliver of bacon alongside will go a long way. The fats from the bacon are gonna really infuse the chicken with lots of flavor as well. Pop them straight in and just let those little lardons cook out alongside the chicken. The only other kind of fresh ingredient we need to prepare here is some garlic. So I'm going in with about 2 or 3 cloves here. If there was one job I could give up in the kitchen, it would be smashing garlic. It's the most pain in the arsey sort of job to do because it's all so fiddly and small. And no matter how many kind of genius tips you come across on the internet, there is no easy way to peel garlic. It's always just fiddly and small and annoying, and you just have to get over it. And you notice that while I'm chopping away, I haven't touched the chicken. A lot of people, when they add meat straight to a pan, start fiddling around with it, and that's when you go wrong. That's when you get like bits of meat stuck to the bottom. That's not what you want here. You want to give it the time to cook out, and the way that you know it's ready to be turned is that it'll almost kind of loosen itself. See the way it's not even sticking there? That's because it's actually almost cooked on the side that it needs to be, and it's released itself quite easily. Right, some of that parsley, we're going to take a sharp knife and just literally take a nice mound of it and finely chop that. And like that looks like it was a lot of parsley, but you know, when you chop it and you process it, it actually goes to nothing. So it really is worth adding quite a lot because it will break down. Okay, let's turn our chicken. Come in and have a look. Look at that golden brown. That is what we're after. And that's why you do not turn the chicken until it's ready to be turned. You can see it's almost cooked all the way through on one side. And just press that down so that it gets nice and coated. And you'll notice that there are some dark bits happening around the sides of the pan, but don't be afraid of them. And you'll notice that as this has like been cooking out, you'll see there's a lot of fat in here. So I'm gonna try and just scoop off the majority of that. That's gorgeous for like all sorts of things. You could pop it over some roast potatoes, it'd be phenomenal. And you'll notice now at this point, the chicken is almost all the way cooked through. So what we're gonna do is just kind of give it a little toss in the pan. We're gonna grab up a good, generous knob of the butter. So just take up a sharp knife. About that is exactly what you'll need. Pop that straight in and chew the butter as it melts down. Get in there with the garlic. And remember, you have all those great flavors in the bottom. Just come in and have a look, because this is where, see those dark bits there? That's what we want to capture in our sauce, our pan sauce. And at this point now, essentially, you've got crispy bacon, you've got beautifully fried garlic. Our chicken is almost cooked through, but now it's time to crack on with the sauce. This little method can be used if you had leftover beer, or if you have white wine like I'm using, or even just a bit of chicken stock will form the basis of your pan sauce. We've added the butter, and now we want the contrast of the sweetness of the wine coming into the butter and creating a lovely sauce. So get straight in there. A little bit of sizzle is what you're after, maybe a bit of flame if you feel up to it. Immediately you've added that white wine, you've got great things going on in here. So let's build on that flavor. While that's sizzling away, we want to capture all the great juices and flavors in with about a teaspoon or so of that Dijon mustard. Let that kind of swirl in there, get it involved. And you'll notice like I added enough white wine, but if I need to add more, I will. So mustard goes in. To this, we want to hit it with some of that spicy honey. And then to capture a little bit of spice, and what I'm looking for is not a hit of extreme spice here, but just a sort of roundness of mouth flavor. So a little bit of hot sauce goes in, no more than about 3 dashes. And then to this, we want that salty hit from our capers. I want to say like about a tablespoon or so of the capers in. Now the shuffle here is essential. If you don't do the shuffle, you won't get that gorgeous creamy sauce. Come in and have a look, because that's where it needs to be. I'm gonna grab up a spoon. Let's try a little touch of that. Oh man, that is absolutely gorgeous. I actually think it actually needs a little bit of black pepper, and when we add the parsley in there as well, it's gonna give us great flavor. So I'm gonna add some of the parsley in and let that just kind of melt into the sauce. Give it a little shuffle. And at this point now, the great thing is the sauce has actually helped to cook out the chicken. So you should have beautifully tender pieces of chicken that have a gorgeous golden brown on them. This is the sort of thing you could make in the morning, have it ready for dinner. I like the idea that you can put it in a lunchbox and keep it in the fridge, ready to be reheated. Serve this up with salad, serve this up with rice. It's a really simple little method that will just serve you every time. So I'm just gonna place it out onto a plate. I do think we need to try it. But hopefully you can see that this is just a really great way of making a simple chicken dish using store cupboard ingredients, using things that you probably already have to hand, and leaving you with, come in and have a look at this most glorious, beautiful chicken sauce. Okay, now please do not skimp on all that parsley. As a last fresh hit, you want tons of fresh herbage. I know it's not gonna win any Instagram awards, but this is a fantastic little pan-fried chicken number. I'm gonna dive in and try some. So, it is essential you have loads and loads of parsley, because I just think it's that creaminess of the sauce and then that richness and then that fresh hit that the parsley gives. So, a little bit of that action. I mean, you saw it from start to finish. Stuff you're gonna have in your store cupboard. You might have the bacon in the fridge. But all in all, it's that very simple method of pan frying the chicken and then finishing it off with a liquid like chicken stock, beer, or a little bit of white wine, creating an absolutely gorgeous pan-fried sauce. And there's so many different variants you can go. You could go Asian with a little bit of soy sauce and rice wine vinegar. There's a whole heap of different variants if you apply that same method. That, for me, is an absolutely gorgeous way of making the most of what's in your store cupboards. I'll leave the recipe for you. It's a really simple one. You saw what I did. I hope you'll try it for dinner tonight. And until then, my friends, hit subscribe, leave us a comment, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.